day 3. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. Slept really good here at the Edge O'Town Motel. Went to bed probably at 10 o'clock. Woke up at 6:30. You know, nice and comfortable bed. My only real complaint about this place is that I had a really hard time drying anything out. Like, I've been in some hotels where I can drape clothes over you know, like the air conditioning vent or whatever, and they'll dry out fine, or it's just the dryness of the room lets stuff dry out a little bit easier. And here I cleaned out my one pair of bike shorts, and I kind of cleaned out the towel, that pack towel I was using, and I really had no way to devise a system to get them much airflow. So I tried to hang them down with a hanger in front of the air conditioner, and of course this morning the towel was fine, but the bike shorts are still pretty darn wet. So I'm just going to wear the other pair today. I always bring 2 pairs, and hopefully maybe I can dry them out tonight at the campsite or something. Right next door is a McDonald's. I'm going to wander over there, take my time at breakfast, you know, have some coffee, Egg McMuffin, load up on some protein to start the day, and then come on back, get everything organized. I'm usually pretty slow with getting organized in the packs, because right now I'm spread out all over the room. So I'm going to get everything organized, ready to go, and then I'll hit the road. Today's route is only supposed to be about 45 miles. First, probably 2 of that is just getting back on the trail here in Ashtabula. Then I'm on that Western Reserve Greenway forever, that kind of boring stretch of trail. And then I have about 2 miles, you know, once I get off of that, to get over to Mosquito Lake State Park. As I mentioned, I'm probably going to do a lot less videotaping in this segment, just because, you know, you've seen the sights of this part of the trail already. And then once I get to Mosquito Lake, my family's going to be meeting me, so I'm not going to be taping that, you know, that family time. So all together, should be a nice day. High is only like 76, so beautiful weather for riding, especially compared to the past few days where it was just like insane humidity. I'm actually cringing on putting my day 1 bike shirt back on, just because it smells so bad and it's very dirty, but it is what it is. So that's what we got in store for today. So here we go. I'm all loaded up, heading out of town. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, so a little bit earlier jump today. And compared to yesterday, where I kind of weaved in on some back streets, today I just literally plugged in, you know, here to Mosquito Lake into commute, and you know, it's taken me the most direct way, and the most direct way is down this very major thoroughfare called Prospect Road. And I avoided it because it looked, you know, it's 2 lanes in each direction, and it looked busy when I was scouting it out. But the sidewalk is decent, and I'm going across, you know, the creek or the river, whatever it is that kind of bisects town right now. And you have this nice kind of double wide separate pedestrian pathway over here. And anywhere else there's sidewalks, and the sidewalks have been in better repair than they were in parts of town that I went through yesterday. So I would do this if you're staying where I stayed and you need to get over from the trail to the motel. Just plug it in the most direct.
Take the next left. Then
right
in 650 feet, take a slight right onto.
Yeah, overall, my vibe with Ashtabula as a town is, it seems like a typical kind of Ohio large town Rust Belt kind of collapse story. I see a lot of dilapidation, a lot of abandoned buildings, a lot of stuff just kind of left to overgrowth, not very well tended. You know, this is a Saturday morning. There's like nobody on the road. The scene, it almost reminds me of one of these kind of apocalypse TV shows or movies where, like, you know, I almost feel like I could walk into one of these buildings and raid all the canned goods, but, you know, some zombie might come out of the back. So definitely that kind of vibe. A lot of aroma of marijuana as I've pedaled through the town the past 2 days as well. Definitely picking that up. Yeah, that was so easy getting back on the trail. So yesterday, when I got off the trail proper here and did my whole zigzagging around Ashtabula and went down to the lake, I think I told you I added something like 10 miles to the journey. But literally going the most direct way that Komoot took me routing wise from my motel to here was 2 miles on the dot. And it was smooth sailing, no inclines, no broken up sidewalk, none of the stuff that the established trail through the town brings you through. So I'm not sure what that whole Lake North Shore trail was all about, but holy smokes, dude, unless you really have a hankering to see the lake, that's, I don't know, I don't get it. So yesterday on my way into Ashtabula, I was kind of coasting easily on a downward gradient. And of course today, since I'm backtracking, first few miles here of trail are pretty consistently uphill. Nothing crazy, nothing that's overly difficult. Again, it's still paved, but it's, you got to pedal constantly because you're just going up for probably a few hundred feet over the course of the few miles. One other thing I wanted to mention that's really nice about this route as a whole is the entire 90 to 100 mile trip from Lisbon all the way up to the lake. At least for me, I've always had data, and I've always had connectivity in terms of phone and internet. So on this more boring stretch today, for instance, I might listen to like a podcast or something, or I can listen to some music, and it's really nice. I know yesterday I was exchanging some text messages with my wife while I was riding, and since it's such a wide berth and there's like nobody else on here, I was able to just kind of use voice to text and keep pedaling and going back and forth with her for about 20 minutes. So just know that some other trails you get outside a major town and you got no connection. Here you have connection, at least for T-Mobile, the entire way. So that's definitely a nice perk of the trail for sure. So I just went past Shannon's Mini Mart in Austinburg, and that's 9 miles on the dot from where my motel was in Ashtabula. So again, it looked like a really cool little place. The parking lot there was actually surprisingly full, and I saw a number of runners stretching and some people getting their bikes down. So I think I saw like almost as many people just in that parking lot this morning than I did all day yesterday. Now today is a Saturday morning, so that makes sense. But I was tempted to stop. I remember noting yesterday, I'm like, it looks like a cool place to stop and sit out on a little patio there. But I haven't even been pedaling for an hour. I mean, it's been so nice and easy. Temperature wise, it's probably 65 degrees out. That humidity that was just terrible the past 2 days is kind of lifted. It is, you couldn't ask for a better morning for cycling. And I've seen very few people out, and I'm just kind of pedaling easily 10, 11 miles an hour, not really working overly hard, just kind of enjoying the morning, listening to some music. Really, really nice day to be out on the trail. One of the few creek crossings of the day. I told you this stretch of the Western Reserve Greenway is mostly just kind of green tunnel. But you got a few of these little crossings on trestles or bridges that, vary it up a little bit. Back in lovely Rock Creek, where I stopped for a greasy burger yesterday for lunch. So I will not be repeating that today. One thing that's notable is when I went into town, I kind of came up and hung a left and kind of went 3/4 of a mile down this road to get to the restaurant. Well, if you just go across the street, they've actually built another stretch of trail that is not reflected on Google Maps or Komoot or any of the other routing stuff. So it's obviously new, and I think they probably just got like a right-of-way permission from whatever business this is over here behind this kind of fence. So just note that, you know, there's no road riding in this section, even though it might look like it on any of the maps. So I mentioned in the video the other day that usually when I go on these longer trips, I'll force myself to stop like every 10-15 miles, get off the bike, stretch, eat, you know, just kind of do something other than riding, and that's always served me well. Well, so far today, I've been riding for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. I've done about 20 miles and I haven't taken a break yet. And part of that's just been, I felt like there's been nowhere really logical in that range to stop. I did go over that nice trestle that I showed you in yesterday's video with the waterfalls, but there was like 5 people sitting there on the benches and I didn't feel like adding to the party. So I just kept going. And then when I was looking at my map here, the town of Orwell is only about 30 more minutes up the trail. And Orwell was probably the most logical place for me to stop for any kind of like eating, because they have a lot of different restaurant options. That was the town that in yesterday's video I showed you. There was like a Mexican restaurant right off the trail, and then I was like lusting about Mexican for the next 12 hours. Well, that restaurant doesn't open until noon on Saturdays. During the week it opens at 11, weekends it opens at noon, so that's a no-go. But there's kind of a brunch place. It looks like stone's throw down the main road the other direction. There's a few fast food places like an A&W. I saw that there's a Mr. Hero sandwich shop there. So I figure I'll get to Orwell in 25-30 minutes. I'll kind of evaluate my options and go from there. You know, something like a brunch sounds decent to me right now because it is early. I mean, like you said, it's only about 10 o'clock, and I had originally anticipated coming through here between 11 and 12, but when you're staying in a hotel, you pack up a lot quicker than you do when you're at camp. So I ended up getting on the trail earlier, and like you said, it's just been smooth sailing, absolutely perfect weather conditions for a bike ride, and so I'm just making really good time. So I think get to Orwell, chill for a while, eat. I know my family hasn't even left. It takes them probably an hour and 15 minutes to get over to the state park. So I'm in no hurry, which has been pretty much the theme of this trip, and I think that's a good theme for any trip. You know, if you're in a hurry, it takes a lot of the fun out of bike travel, that's for sure. So I was wondering why I was seeing some horse poop on the trail, and I didn't realize that this is some Amish communities around here and that they use the bike trail. So kind of surprised me. I was looking down, so I look up and this carriage is right upon me. Well, strikeout on meal option number 1. I saw this country store and restaurant, and it had some good reviews in Google, and I said, oh perfect, I'll get brunch. And no, the restaurant part's closed for change of ownership. So she said maybe in a few weeks, but it looked like it was an Amish owned establishment. So I'm gonna have to go back down this road, see what else is down here. I saw again a sandwich shop, a pizza shop, though this is a pretty busy road, one of the busier roads that you cross on the trail. So I don't really want to go too far down for that reason, but I'm gonna go find something. Ended up stopping at Cap's Pizza. They don't really have any inside seating, but they do have a bench outside. So I'm just gonna sit out here with my bike. They said it'd be about 15-20 minutes. And I think a small pizza with pepperoni was like $7. So doing that, getting some of my little Propel packets going. I love these things. I probably drink 2 of these a day when I'm out on a bike tour. And yeah, we'll see how this is. Really good. Cap's Pizza in Orwell, definitely a good choice. Again, they don't really have seating other than a bench outside, but I just kind of parked myself on that bench next to my bike, went and ordered. Service was quick. Pizza came out piping hot. It was a 6-cut small, which was more than enough for me. And it was really different. It had very kind of different crust to it, where you could tell it was like almost kind of like a pan pizza in the sense that they kind of oiled it underneath, but it had like a softer consistency. I don't know, I really liked it, and it was like $7. So I thought that was a steal of a deal, just what I needed. So it's probably now about 11:45.
The tour is 0.55 miles ahead of you.
And 0.5 miles back to the trail. Cool little history reading south of Orwell here. And it's all about, you know, how this area was part of the Western Reserve, which was opened up for settlement after the Revolutionary War, and how a lot of New Englanders came over here, and how as a result you had a lot of abolitionist sentiment in the area. And it actually talks about how John Brown, the famous abolitionist who led the raid on Harper's Ferry, actually lived in Ashtabula County for a while and had a lot of friends in this area and supporters. So this was like, you know, ground zero for the Underground Railroad, getting people up to Canada. Really, really, really interesting read. A little bit hard to read because there's some damage to it. But, you know, cool little bit of local history. And I always love, you know, reading this kind of stuff. I wasn't really sure what this whole area was on my ride north, and I was looking at the map more, and this is the Mosquito Creek wildlife area. So there's some cranes flying through, and you hear all sorts of frogs making noise, and just a really cool, beautiful place to kind of stop and just kind of take it in from a wildlife watching perspective. I'm about 12 miles to the campground, so I'm at kind of like the northern edge of the lake, and then I got about 12 miles to get to the campground, which is at the southern edge of the lake. So still making great time, easy riding today. But stuff like this, I feel like I don't know, I didn't take the time to smell the roses on the way north, and so today I'm doing a little bit more of that. Man, oh man, I gotta say, this last stretch of the Western Reserve Greenway Trail that I'm on for the day, there's been no bathrooms whatsoever. And I have not gone to the bathroom since I left Ashtabula at 8 o'clock. And it's now like, I don't know, probably 12:45, 1 o'clock, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I mean, I think I've gone past like one porta-john that I've seen in the past hour and a half, and somebody was in there, and I waited for like 5 minutes and they still weren't coming out. And so at that point I gave up, because I was like, you know what, if somebody's in a porta-john for 5 minutes, I don't think I want to be the next guy in there. So yeah, I think I have a better shot of just making it to the campground at this point. So be aware of that. Much, you know, up more toward Ashtabula, I feel like there's tons of porta-johns and like little parking lots and pull-off facilities. Down here closer to Mosquito Lake, not so much. Going past the Trumbull County Fairgrounds again, and unlike the other morning, there's actually a lot of traffic on this road because something's going on over there. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of people parked out in those fields. and so you got a lot more traffic on this road. But this road, you know, despite that, is really nice because it's newly paved, it's flat, and unlike Pittsburgh where you got hills everywhere, you know, people can see you from a ways away, you can see them, and so they tend to give you a really wide berth. And that's been a nice thing about this whole trip, is I've never really felt, other than maybe a little bit in Ashtabula, like I was really ever in like a super unsafe road riding kind of situation. So I made it back to Mosquito Lake State Park. Ended up being 47.7 miles today. On my way back in, I stopped at that Bazetta Market, which is right across the street from the entrance, just to kind of scope it out. And it's a nice little mini mart. They have some prepared foods as well. The lady there told me that they have like their whole menu online on their Facebook page. So if you just look at Bazetta Market, I guess all the information's there. They also had like 5 coolers in the back stocked with beer and seltzers and anything like that that you could ever need. You can't consume alcohol on their premises, and you're technically not allowed to consume it in the park either, but whatever. So my family's still ways out, so I grabbed a drink or two. I'm gonna have it here. I was pretty peeved. I actually left a stack of firewood here that I didn't use the first night, probably about $6 or $7 worth, and I come here and it's all gone. So I don't know who the heck steals people's firewood from camp spots, but that's what happened here. And the campground's pretty much burst into the seams with people now, since it's a weekend, whereas before it was pretty quiet. So anyway, I'm going to sign off for the day. Tomorrow, got one last day back to Lisbon in order to pick up the car, and then that wraps up the tour.